The aftermath of the resonance cannon's blast had left the battlefield eerily silent. The remains of the Velgron flagship drifted through the void, illuminated by the faint glow of Earth's orbit. But in the command center beneath the Gaia Forum, there was no celebration, only grim determination. Alexander Aurelius stared at the holographic map before him. It showed the shattered remnants of the Velgron fleet still pressing forward despite the loss of their flagship. "They're regrouping faster than expected," he muttered. One of his advisors, General Corin, stepped forward. "Their arrogance has taken a hit, but their war machine is far from crippled. We need to press the advantage." Aurelius shook his head. "No, not yet. If we overextend now, we risk losing everything. Humanity may have struck the first blow, but the Velgron are far from beaten." The room fell silent. General Corin, known for his fiery temper, glanced at the map and then back at Aurelius. "So what's the plan, Alexander?" Aurelius tapped the hologram, zooming in on a sector far from Earth's orbit. "We lure them into a second ambush, but this time we hit their supply lines. Without fuel and reinforcements, their forces will splinter." Another advisor, a younger strategist named Leon, frowned. "Their supply lines are deep within their territory. You're suggesting we infiltrate Velgron space?" "Yes," Aurelius said firmly. "If they think we're bold enough to strike their core, they'll hesitate. It's the only way to keep them on the defensive." Leon exchanged a glance with Corin. "And how do you propose we get past their perimeter defenses?" Aurelius's lips curled into a faint smile. "We won't, but someone already has." Meanwhile, aboard the Velgron secondary command ship, Supreme Commander Rathar stood in the dim glow of his war table. The loss of the flagship had rattled the crew, but Rathar remained calm. His eyes flicked to the surveillance footage of the human ambush. "Impressive," he muttered. "Primitive, but effective." An officer stepped forward, their voice trembling. "Commander, reports indicate the humans are deploying more of those resonance weapons. Should we reroute our reinforcements to counter them?" Rathar shook his head. "No, they're clever, but they're still cornered animals. Focus our fleets on their homeworlds. If they dare to challenge us again, we'll reduce their cities to ash." Suddenly, a faint ping echoed through the command ship. Rathar turned sharply. "What was that?" An analyst hesitated. "It appears to be an unauthorized transmission from within our fleet." "From where?" Rathar barked. The analyst's face paled. "From the wreckage of the flagship, sir." The room froze. Rathar's eyes narrowed. "Patch it through. Now." The transmission crackled to life, displaying a distorted but unmistakably human voice. "To the Velgron Empire, you thought you could break us. You thought we'd fold under the weight of your oppression. But now you've learned the truth. You're not invincible." Rathar's grip tightened on the edge of the table as the voice continued. "This is only the beginning. For every human you've enslaved, for every life you've stolen, we will make you pay. The galaxy is watching, and soon they'll join us." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the room in tense silence. Rathar's jaw clenched. "Find the source of that transmission and destroy it." Back on Earth, Dr. Evelyn Hart stood in her underground lab, watching the same transmission with a grim smile. "They're rattled," she said to her team. One of her engineers, a young prodigy named Alaric, frowned. "Won't that provoke them further?" "Exactly," Hart replied. "We need them reckless. The more mistakes they make, the better chance we have of dismantling their empire." Suddenly, an alert flashed on her console. "Incoming signal," Alaric said, his voice tense. Hart opened the channel, and Aurelius's face appeared. "Doctor, I need an update on the infiltration team." "They've just crossed the Velgron perimeter," Hart replied. "But their comms are being jammed." We won't know if they succeed until they're back." Aurelius's expression darkened. "Let's hope they make it. If they can disable the supply nodes, we might actually have a chance to turn this war around." Hart nodded. "And if they don't?" Aurelius didn't answer. He didn't need to. Both of them knew the odds were slim, but humanity's survival had always depended on impossible odds. The stealth ship Phantom Strider slipped silently through the dense asteroid field bordering Velgron space. Its hull shimmered with adaptive camouflage, blending seamlessly into the darkness. Captain Vera Aegis sat at the helm, her sharp eyes scanning the readouts. Around her, her small crew worked with a precision born of desperation. "Perimeter sensors neutralized," her tech specialist Soren reported. "We're in." "Good," Vera replied. "What's the status on the target?" Soren tapped his console, pulling up a faint energy signature. "The supply depot is just ahead. It's protected by a Velgron patrol fleet, but their sensor grid is patchy. They won't spot us until we're right on top of them." "Then we stay quiet," Vera said. "Engage low power mode. We'll drift in with the debris." The Phantom Strider slowed to a crawl, its engines whisper quiet as it maneuvered closer to the depot. The Velgron patrol ships loomed in the distance, their sleek angular designs bristling with weaponry. "Captain," Soren whispered, "there's a gap in their patrol pattern. If we time it right, we can slip through." Vera's jaw tightened. "And if we don't?" "Let's just not find out," Soren muttered. The crew held their breath as the ship drifted closer. Seconds stretched into eternity as they passed within striking range of the Velgron patrols. Finally, the depot came into view, a massive structure anchored to a hollowed-out asteroid, its surface bristling with supply docks and automated defenses. "There it is," Vera murmured. Soren scanned for vulnerabilities. "On it," he replied, his fingers dancing over the console. "There's a weak point in the energy shielding near Dock 17. If we plant charges there, it'll cause a cascade failure and disable the entire depot." "And the odds of doing that without getting caught?" Vera asked. "Low," Soren admitted, "but doable." Vera nodded. "Prep the charges. We're going in." The crew suited up in zero-gravity combat gear, their movements precise and practiced. Vera double-checked her equipment, her mind focused on the mission ahead. "This is it," she said, addressing her team. "We disable that depot and we cripple their supply lines. Humanity is counting on us. Let's make it count." The airlock hissed open and the team launched into the void, propelling themselves toward the depot with handheld thrusters. The silence of space was broken only by the sound of their breathing and the occasional crackle of comms. As they reached Dock 17, Vera motioned for her team to fan out. Soren moved to the shield generator, attaching the charges with quick, steady hands. Another crew member, a sharpshooter named Rhea, kept watch, her plasma rifle trained on the nearby patrol ships. "Charges set," Soren reported. "We're ready." "Good," Vera said. "Let's move." A sudden pulse of light erupted from the depot, illuminating the team. The Velgron defenses activated, their automated turrets swiveling toward the intruders. "We've been spotted!" Rhea shouted, firing a burst of plasma bolts at the nearest turret. "Detonate the charges!" Vera ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos. Soren hit the detonator, and the charges exploded in a brilliant flash. The depot's shields flickered and collapsed, leaving the structure vulnerable. But the explosion had drawn the attention of the Velgron patrol fleet, which was now bearing down on their position. "We need to get out of here!" Soren yelled, firing his thrusters to retreat. "Go!" Vera commanded, covering her team as they retreated to the Phantom Strider. The Velgron ships opened fire, their lasers slicing through the darkness. The team reached the airlock, tumbling inside as the ship's engines roared to life. Vera strapped into the helm, her hands flying over the controls. Hold on! The Phantom Strider shot away from the depot, weaving through the asteroid field as the Velgron ships pursued. The crew braced themselves as explosions rocked the ship, the shields straining against the onslaught. "We won't make it to FTL in time," Soren shouted. "They're too close." Vera's mind raced. "Then we'll have to improvise. Soren, eject the decoy beacon. Let's see if they take the bait." The beacon launched from the ship, emitting a false energy signature. The Velgron ships hesitated, splitting their forces to pursue the decoy. The Phantom Strider used the distraction to gain distance, its engines burning at maximum thrust. "FTL jump ready," Soren reported. "Coordinates locked." "Engage," Vera ordered. The ship leapt into hyperspace, leaving the Velgron patrols behind. The crew exhaled in relief, the tension finally easing. Vera leaned back in her chair, her breathing steady but heavy. "Depot destroyed. Supply lines disrupted. Mission accomplished." Soren grinned, despite the sweat on his brow. "And we're still in one piece. Barely." This might be the end of our story, unless you subscribe. Join us, and together we'll venture into the unknown, one mystery at a time.